Hello, my friends. Welcome to this special podcast. And today we are going to talk about something that almost every English learner in the world dreams about, but very few people actually understand deeply. And that is the art and science of training your brain and your mouth to finally speak English in a natural, confident, and fluent way, without hesitation, without fear, and without feeling like every single word you want to say is locked somewhere in your mind and you cannot open the door to let it out. You see, when most people think about learning English, they imagine it is only about studying grammar rules, memorizing vocabulary lists, or maybe watching a few videos online, and they hope that one day, after doing these things, magically, they will wake up speaking English fluently. But the truth, my dear friend, is very different, because speaking English is not just about knowing the rules. It is about training two powerful tools that you already have: your brain and your mouth. Your brain is the place where all your ideas, memories, and words live. It is like a giant library full of books. But if the library is not organized, if the shelves are messy, if the books are in a language you cannot understand quickly, then even though the knowledge is inside, you cannot use it when you need it. And your mouth, on the other hand, is like the delivery system. It is like the car that takes the books out of the library and brings them to the world. But if the car is broken, if the engine is slow, if the driver is nervous, then nothing comes out smoothly. So, in this podcast, I want to guide you step by step through a long journey where we will learn how to train your brain to think in English, how to train your mouth to produce English sounds automatically, and how to connect the two together so that you are no longer just a learner of English, but a speaker of English. Now, let us start with the brain, because before the mouth can speak, the brain must think clearly. Most learners make the mistake of trying to speak English directly without first teaching their brain how to store and process English in the right way. And this is why they feel nervous. They stop, they translate, and they cannot find the words. Training the brain to speak English is like training your muscles in the gym. If you want strong arms, you do not go to the gym once a month. You go regularly, you lift weights, you repeat, and slowly your muscles grow. In the same way, if you want your brain to think in English, you cannot just study English once in a while. You must expose your brain to English every single day in a way that is active and focused. A powerful technique is what I call input flooding. This means you give your brain so much English that it becomes impossible for it to ignore the language. For example, imagine listening to English podcasts while you cook, while you clean, while you walk. Imagine reading simple English stories before bed every night. Imagine writing a small journal in English every morning. When you flood your brain with English, slowly, without even noticing, your brain begins to accept English as normal and not as something foreign. But listening alone is not enough. You must also train your brain to connect ideas in English. This means when you think about your day, you try to do it in English, even if your sentences are not perfect. For example, instead of thinking, "Today I will go to the market to buy some fruit," in your native language, you practice forming that thought in English, even if it sounds simple. "Today I go market, buy fruit." At first, the grammar will be broken, but your brain will start building the habit of reaching for English words instead of your native language. And here's the secret. Your brain loves repetition. The more you repeat an English sentence, the stronger the connection becomes in your memory. So, if every morning you tell yourself, I am waking up now, I am brushing my teeth, I am drinking water, I am feeling fresh, and you repeat these kinds of daily expressions in English, soon your brain will not need to translate, because it will have a ready-made collection of English phrases linked to your real life. Now, let me give you a story of one of my students. She was from Brazil, and she told me that she could understand a lot of English, but when it was time to speak, her brain felt empty. I told her, your brain is not empty, it is full, but the problem is that your brain is trained to use Portuguese first, and then look for English. We need to retrain your brain to use English first. So I gave her a challenge. Every time she wanted to say something simple in Portuguese, like I am hungry or it is hot, today she had to stop and force herself to think of the English version first. At the beginning, it was hard. She felt slow, but after 3 months, her brain started giving her English automatically. She didn't stop being Brazilian, but her brain became bilingual in action. This is exactly what will happen to you if you follow the same method. Step by step, repetition by repetition, your brain will begin to give you English directly, without translation. And when your brain is ready, your mouth can start its own training, which we will talk about later in this podcast. Before we move to the mouth, let's go even deeper into brain training. You see, there are 2 main systems in your brain, the fast system and the slow system. The slow system is the one you use when you are trying to remember grammar rules, when you are translating, when you are nervous. It is powerful, but it is slow. And in conversation, slow means silence. The fast system, on the other hand, is automatic. It is what you use when you ride a bicycle without thinking. When you sing a song you know by heart. When you say hello without planning. If you want to speak English fluently, you must move your English from the slow system to the fast system. How do you do this? By overtraining. Overtraining means you practice the same simple sentences so many times that they become automatic. For example, the sentence, "How are you doing today?" If you practice this sentence 100 times, your brain no longer needs to think, it just flows. Then you add another, "What did you do yesterday?" Practice again and again until it flows. Slowly, your brain will build a network of automatic sentences. And when you are in real conversation, these sentences will connect together naturally. So, my friend, the first key to training your brain is daily repetition with real-life English. The second key is forcing your brain to choose English first, even when it feels uncomfortable. And the third key is building automatic sentences through overtraining. If you do these 3 things, your brain will no longer be the problem when you try to speak. And once your brain is ready, we will begin the exciting work of training your mouth, because the mouth is where the music of English lives. The rhythm, the pronunciation, the sounds, the melody. And without training the mouth, the brain's knowledge cannot come out clearly. My dear friend, now that we have started to understand how important it is to train the brain to think in English, let us move to the second powerful tool that you carry with you every single day. And that is your mouth. Because if the brain is the library full of books, then the mouth is the voice that reads those books out loud to the world. And if the voice is not trained, if the muscles of the mouth are not flexible, then even if the brain is ready, the words will come out broken, unclear, and sometimes even completely different from what you wanted to say. You see, speaking a language is not just about vocabulary and grammar. It is also about muscle memory. Just like when you learn to play the piano or the guitar, your fingers must move in a new way. When you learn to speak English, your lips, your tongue, your jaw, even your breathing must move in a new way that is very different from your native language. And here is the problem. Most learners try to speak English using the same mouth movements they use for their own language, and this is why their pronunciation sounds strange, heavy, or unclear. I'll give you an example. In English, the sound the as in think or this requires you to put your tongue between your teeth and push air out. Many learners never use this movement in their native language, so when they try to say think, their mouth refuses. It feels uncomfortable. And they replace the sound with S, or waltz and suddenly think, becomes sink or tink. The brain knows the word, but the mouth does not deliver it correctly. This is why training the mouth is so important. So, how do we train the mouth? The answer is physical practice. You must treat your mouth like an athlete treats their body. You must warm up, you must repeat, you must stretch, you must train every day. For example, one of the best exercises is called shadowing. Shadowing means you listen to a native speaker and immediately repeat exactly what they say, copying their rhythm, their intonation, their sounds. When you do shadowing, your mouth is forced to move in the same way as a native speaker. And slowly, your muscles learn the new movements. But shadowing alone is not enough. You also need mouth drills. Mouth drills are like gym exercises for your tongue and lips. For example, take the sentence, "The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday." This sentence is difficult, but if you repeat it every day, slowly, carefully, then faster, your mouth begins to learn how to control the th sound, the rhythm, and the speed. Another simple drill could be repeating vowel sounds. E, I, ah, oh, ooh, stretching your mouth like a singer. These drills may feel funny, but they are powerful because they train the small muscles that produce English sounds. Now let me share another story. A student from Morocco once told me, "Teacher, I know all the words, but when I speak, people cannot understand me." I listened to her, and I realized the problem was not her brain, it was her mouth. She never trained her pronunciation, so her words came out heavy, influenced by her native language. I gave her a daily routine. 15 minutes of shadowing with a podcast, 10 minutes of tongue twisters, and 5 minutes of reading aloud. After 3 months, her friends told her, "Wow, you sound so much clearer now. We can understand you easily." This was not magic, it was muscle training. And here is something very interesting. Your mouth. Just like your brain loves consistency. If you practice speaking 1 hour on Monday and then nothing for the rest of the week, your progress will be very small. But if you practice 15 minutes every single day, your mouth will grow stronger and more flexible, just like someone who exercises daily. The key is not how much time you spend, but how consistent you are. Another important part of training your mouth is intonation. Intonation means the music of English, the rise and fall of your voice, the way you stress some words and make others quiet, Many learners ignore intonation and focus only on words, but when they speak, they sound robotic, flat, without emotion. Native speakers, on the other hand, use intonation to make meaning clear. For example, if I say, "You are going," flat, it sounds like a fact. But if I say, "You are going," rising, it becomes a question. If I say, "You are going," falling strong, it becomes excitement or surprise. Training your mouth to use intonation makes your English alive, and people will enjoy listening to you. So, how can you practice intonation? One method is to record yourself. Choose a short dialogue from a movie, listen to it, and then record yourself trying to copy the exact melody of the voices. Compare your recording with the original, notice the differences, and repeat until it feels natural. Another method is to exaggerate. Read a sentence with dramatic ups and downs, like an actor. At first, it will feel strange, but your mouth will learn flexibility, and slowly, your speech will become more natural. Now, I want to give you a powerful daily routine to train your mouth. 1. Warm up. 5 minutes. Do simple vowel and consonant drills. Stretch your mouth with sounds like e, ah, ooh, and practice difficult consonants like thar, l. 2. Shadowing. 10 minutes. Listen to a podcast or short video in English and repeat immediately, copying every detail. 3. Tongue twisters, 5 minutes. Choose 1 or 2. English tongue twisters and repeat them slowly, then faster. 4. Reading aloud, 10 minutes. Take a short story or article and read it out loud, focusing on clear pronunciation and intonation. 5. Recording, 5 minutes. Record yourself speaking freely about your day. Then listen and notice your weak points. If you do this routine every single day, just 30 to 40 minutes, your mouth will transform. At first, you may feel silly, you may laugh at yourself, but after a few weeks, you will notice your words are clearer, your sentences are smoother, and people will begin to say, "Wow, your English sounds so much better." And remember, the mouth and the brain must work together. The brain gives the ideas, the mouth delivers them. If the brain is trained but the mouth is weak, your English will stay locked. If the mouth is strong but the brain has no English ideas, you will only make sounds without meaning. But when both are trained, you become unstoppable. And my dear friend, before we continue with the next part of this powerful journey, I want to remind you of something very simple but very important. If you are enjoying this podcast, if you are learning new ideas, and if you want me to keep creating more and more episodes like this for you, then please take one small action right now. Subscribe to this channel. When you subscribe, you are not only supporting me, you are also supporting yourself because you are building a daily habit of listening to English, of training your brain and your mouth, and of becoming part of a community of learners who all share the same dream, to finally speak English with confidence. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, and make sure you never miss an episode, because every single episode will be one more step in your transformation.